Hello everyone, thanks for joining me today. I'm Jan Clothier of Thinking Stamping, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in New Zealand. And today I thought I'd share with you how I made this card that I made using the Timeless Arrangements bundle. Now I made this card in response to the Inspiration Challenge at Around the World on Wednesday, where the theme this month is moody blue or something blue, and we were given a limited selection of blues to work with. And so this card uses Night of Navy, Misty Moonlight, Balmy Blue and Boho Blue. But obviously you could make it up, mix it up to any colours that you like. And I've also got an alternative version of this card to show you at the end because I couldn't quite make up my mind which one I liked the best. But I'm going to show you how to make this one. So, what do you need to make it? Well, obviously the Timeless Arrangements bundle from the 2023-2024 annual catalogue is pretty much a must-have. Lots of sentiment options, but I've chosen the Hope Your Day is Filled with Everything Good because I think that's kind of an all-purpose sentiment. And we're going to use some of the dies out of the bundle as well. In terms of paper, well, I've chosen Night of Navy as my base, and so it's my standard card size, 21 centimetres, or the width of a piece of A4 paper, cut at 14.8 and scored at 10.5. Now, if you are an imperial person, just use whatever your standard sized card base is, because like this is my standard sized card base. Okay, so a Night of Navy base. Now I've got a piece of white which is 1/2 centimetre or 1/4 of an inch smaller, so it's 10 by 14.3. Now that's for the inside of the card, so I'm just going to pop that aside for now because we don't need it. Similarly, I've got another piece of Night of Navy which is 10 by 14.3 or 1/4 of an inch smaller than the card face, and you'll notice that I've already embossed that and I've used the Time Worn Type embossing folder. You could use whatever you like, but I think you want something that's got sort of a general overall pattern and relatively neutral. So Time Worn Type, not which I've used for that. Now, to make all of this stuff, obviously you need a little piece of white to do the sentiment with, and I've stamped that with Night of Navy, and as you can see there were lots and lots of things to choose from, and I have used the little label die that comes with Timeless Arrangements. There's 3 different variations of it. I like it because it's not only the stitch details, but in the centre of each side you've got a little X, which is just gives it a little bit different, a bit of a different look. In addition, to make these little die cut foliages, well, you need a little piece of whatever colours you are going to use. Now, if in the course of this video you see anything that you'd like to add to your craft stash and you live in New Zealand, then please don't forget you can shop with me and from anywhere in New Zealand, and there's a link to my online store in the video description below and in the end cards which are going to pop up. But, okay, the colours that I've chosen to use, so I have chosen to use Misty Moonlight. And you need a big enough scrap that you can cut yourself 2 of these dies. You need some scrap of Boho Blue, and I've used that die for those. And you need some scraps of Balmy Blue so that you can cut yourself 2 of those. Now, there is another option. There are other options in the set that you could use. There's a whole nother bar that you could use, which gives you a slightly different look. You could pick one of those, and there are individual pieces of foliage that you can use and add in if you want to. But I'm just going to stick with the 3 that I've got here. And as I say, you can use whatever colours and whatever combination of foliage that you like, but you need 6 bits, 3 pairs. And that is pretty much all we're going to use in terms of paper. So what are we going to do? Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create our little clusters of foliage to back the sentiment. And it's very simple. This lovely little bar arrangement makes life very simple, because all you have to do is just layer up the bars. And then you've got a lovely little cluster that you can deal with quite simply. Now again, you can order them in any order you like. The way that you put them together will give you a slightly different look. So, before you leap in like I'm doing and starting to glue, play around with what you like the look of. But I've just chosen to go from darkest to lightest, but that's just what I felt like doing. You know, you can do it however you want. Right, so now we've got these nice little bars of foliage, which are quite easy to deal with because now they're all assembled together. I'm just going to pop them out of the way because we're going to do two things. Firstly, I'm going to deal with this sentiment. Okay, I'm just going to stamp in with my balmy blue ink and this lovely little ring distressed background thing. Okay, so I'm going to stamp off and then I'm just going to give it a little bit of background interest by stamping that in there. Again, you don't have to do that, but I kind of like to just give it a little bit of extra, a little bit extra. Now, I'm going to move everything out of the way because the next bit is a little bit messy. And it's so messy that I've had to bring up my kitchen towel so that I can spread it over my workspace. Don't do this anywhere that you are going to regret getting ink splatters on, and make sure everything that could be damaged or splattered is out of your way before you do this bit, because what we're going to do is we're going to add in these little ink splatters to our card front. So here's what we're going to be decorating, and there is actually an up and a down in this, but it's a little bit hard to tell. I'm pretty sure that's the up. Now I've got an acrylic block. I have got my Whisper White pigment ink, and I'm just going to put a little blob onto the block, and I'm going to get a water painter. Doesn't matter what size, it just has to have water in it. And I'm going to squeeze in a bit of water into that ink and swirl it up. Now I want to have most of my splatter happening down on the bottom edge, so I'm going to turn it sideways, and I'm going to try. It's always a little bit tricky to say you're going to definitely do something when you're splattering, but I'm going to attempt to get most of my splatter in this half. So let's see how that goes. Now, you might think I'm being a bit excessive with my kitchen towel over everything, but when I made my original one, I was patting myself on the back for having made very little mess. And then I started cleaning up and realised that actually I'd made quite a lot of mess in the wrong places. So, you know, the splatter goes a long way. And better to be safe than sorry. Now, I'm just going to do a couple of that way ones, and you can see you can just keep going until you've got as much or as little as you like. Now I've got that a little bit perhaps blobbier than I might have hoped, but again, you know, when you're dealing with ink splatters, just like when you're dealing with ink smushing or anything inky or spongy, you kind of get what you get. Most of the time you're going to just get what you get, and you're going to just work with it. Now I just squeezed out a bit of ink. I don't think for 1 second that is completely cleaning my my water painter. That was just a temporary placeholder while I carry on with the rest of this card for you. And when the camera goes off, there is going to be some definite brush cleaning happening there. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to attach that to the card front. Now, you've got a couple of choices at this point. Now, I've got quite a lot of blob, and I'm a bit concerned that when I press that together, those are going to sort of stop being splatters and become smudges. So there's two options. You can, or I can, leave it, come back when it's dried naturally, or I can go away and zap it with my heat gun, which may cause some movement, or it might not. So I think in the interests of expediting this video, I'm going to go and heat it up. If I wasn't making the video, I'd go away and have a cup of tea and let it dry naturally. Okay, well, I'm still not 100% convinced that I've dried that enough, because pigment ink is notoriously slow to dry. But we'll push on, and if we get a smudge, well, we'll get a smudge. Okay, so I'm going to now attach that to our card front. press, particularly around the edges, because I do want the wiggle room to just get it straight. Okay. Okay. Right, and we are now almost done, because all we have to do now is attach our 2 little bars of goodness, foliage goodness. Now I'm going to line that up with my grid paper in an attempt to make sure it's relatively straight, although if it's not really the end of the world. Okay, and then the other one is going to come in here, almost abutting it. Okay. I'm just pressing firmly because that is a textured surface. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're simply going to attach that, and I'm going to dimensional it. You probably don't absolutely have to dimensional it. You could do it flat, but I think I like it. I just like it lifted up a little bit. Okay, so we'll do that, and we'll just flick off those. And our perhaps slightly tricky thing is this bit does have to be straight, so we'll line it up. We'll pop it where it, oops. Okay. Before I press, I'm going to have a look. Is it straight? Is it centered? Yes, I believe so. And so now I'm going to give it a little press. And the very last thing I'm going to do is add a tiny bit of bling, and I'm going to go for the classic basic rhinestone, just because I kind of like the silver. I think the silvery look goes nicely with the navy. A big and a medium and a little. And that is just how easy it is to use Timeless Arrangements to create quite an impactful card. Now, I'll just show you what I did on the inside, because remember we've got a piece of basic white over there waiting to be the inside. I just stamped a couple of the images from the stamp set. This little floral image here, and I stamped it in navy and coloured it in with balmy blue just to carry on the theme. And I also promised you that I'd show you my other card that I made, which was a variant on that, because I couldn't decide which one I liked the best. And that's this one, which is pretty much exactly the same card, except I've done a couple of things differently. So instead, the most obvious one is I've used a white background instead of a night of navy background. The other thing I did was I added in, for my my embossed panel, I actually tore it. So it's sort of a strip torn and then embossed and attached. And obviously my splatter, instead of being made with pigment white, was made with, I think I did actually use Night of Navy and splatter some Night of Navy on it. But otherwise, you know, it's the same. And you get quite a different look, don't you? Anyway, I don't know which one you like the best. Feel free to drop me a message and let me know which one you prefer. If you've seen anything that you've liked today and you'd like to add it to your craft stash, don't forget, if you live in New Zealand, anywhere in New Zealand, you can shop with me. And there's a link to my online store in the video description below. If you've liked what you've seen and you haven't subscribed, please do so you don't miss anything new that I do. I'm always happy to answer questions, so please feel free to message me. But above all else, everyone, happy stamping.